Imagine.
All right. Let's talk about bows and bow ties. Guess who joined me? You want to see?
Hey, pass out my people.
So look, I'm just gonna get right into it. Let me put this thing up here. Should PWIs have majorettes? Now look. Wait. Let me put my thumbnail up here for those of the people in podcast land. All right, so I'm a little bit on the shady and petty side. So I have the picture of the USC majorettes. I just have a little sign that says PWI majorettes. Now, the women are gorge, all the way gorge. Okay, so let's just start with that. But we need to get into some things. Oh, all right. So look, let me just go right on ahead. For those of you who don't know me, I am the Black opinionated woman, also known as a bow. I always have a lot to say. So I was chatting my friends here at work because this is what we do when we don't want to do what we want to do. We usually chat each other. We usually get a good 10, 15 minutes in a, I don't know, whatever the shenanigans of the day.
Whatever.
So let me see if I can move this around a little bit. So yeah, that's what's going on. Let me throw this back up here one more time for a second. That is the thumbnail. I want you to get a
So,
good look. Go
so
ahead.
real quick, just a sidebar. Who's the dude? What's his role?
Oh, so I looked him up, to educate myself. So he is I think, choreographer, and let me see if I can see somebody else in there. It looks like I think the
The
lady
the
at the top
woman back on
left.
the left. Yeah.
I think she's their academic advisor. Now, I actually had to go look up information. Wait, hold on. Let me put my banners up because I don't need any drama. Everything is alleged. So I had to look this up. Now, for those of you wondering why I had to look up information, because it's all because I had heard about this, but to be honest, I wasn't all that interested. I'm partially biased, okay, because I attended the PWI. I didn't get an opportunity to experience the majorette culture. Now, I did look this up because I'm like, when I was talking with my friend CBR kid here, he was like, hey, this might be something to talk about. I'm like, well, I mean, but in defense of everything, I had seen this pop up several times and it was just not something I was that interested in. I mean, I knew about it, I didn't care that much. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? This is something to talk about. Okay. So when I looked up this information on this team, I was like, well, who really I wanted to know more about the backstory. So the woman in the center of this thumbnail, her name is, I wrote her name down, Princess Isis Lang. I might be pronouncing her name incorrectly, but please forgive me. So apparently her backstory, from what I've heard, I did watch a couple of um short clips. I gave it about 10, 15 minutes and then I was, I'm good. She basically started this because during the COVID times, I don't even know if I can say it. I'm just gonna say the Rona times. My apologies, YouTube. But during the Rona times, apparently she was home. She didn't get a chance to really experience some of the campus culture. And then what happened was she said when she gets back, she wants to be part of a dance team or something like that. She wanted to be involved. And I'm paraphrasing, so please forgive me. So I looked up USC and it was in some article, and I believe I'll have to get out of this if you want to see where I found the what article was it? It was in the Washington Post. Should I show it so people don't think I'm making this up? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's been in the news enough.
All right. Well, anyway, I looked it up. I'm looking at this article by the Washington Post, and it said that, and it was just random. I could have looked up anything. USC Black population is about 6%,
I
and
read
I want
that
to
too.
let's sit in for a second. So that actually resonated with me. I'll tell you why. When I went to school, and we're getting into this, but I want to make sure I get some context to this conversation. Why I am now interested. When I was in school, I went to an engineering school that was predominantly white male. I think it was like 90 something percent white people, and I forget the percentage of men. And I definitely felt like an other. I definitely felt like a token. All look, all the things you want to think about. I felt like that. Okay, so there weren't many safe spaces for people who look like me. Yes, we had a Black student union. We had a little bit of the D9 there, not much. There weren't many opportunities to pledge a fraternity or sorority. Okay. So, and I'll leave it there. Where am I going with all of this? I do understand the need to have those kinds of spaces and groups and that kind of thing. What happens is when you go to a PWI that is grossly that grossly underrepresents people who look like you and me, what happens is there is that element of people who attend these institutions who just want to fit in and want to assimilate. And I can understand that. I was fortunate that I had my friends that looked like me, but I also had friends who didn't look like me. But I never forgot exactly who I was. You know what I mean? You definitely have to have a strong constitution about yourself. And I'm going to circle back to why I made that point. When you're in these environments and there aren't many people who look like you, regardless of what people think, even when you think you're a loner, most people are not as much of a loner as they think they are. You still want to be part of some community, even if it's from far away, right? There's a sense of community, a sense of belonging or something. So I understand her need or want or desire to want to be part of something and where she can keep a little bit of who she is and what her culture is. So I'm going to bring this title back up for a second. Let me scroll back down here. So, because I'm sure you're going to jump in soon. Should PWIs have majorettes? So what do you think about that?
I don't really see the problem with it. I mean, I went to an HBCU. I mean, I was on a football team, so I never actually saw the halftime show. But I understand that it's a big part of the whole HBCU, especially football experience, and specifically in the South. I mean, I went to Morgan, that's in Baltimore, which technically is the South, but not really. But I know that in the South, that part of the game is a big deal, and typically uniquely HBCU. Um, Personally, I don't have a problem with it. Um, Think of that because I've yeah, obviously, well, people know I watch a lot of college football. I see some of the PWI bands, and they are dry. But by comparison to HBC, it's different style of marching. They do
Right.
precision military style.
Yes.
HBCUs do show band type of stuff, which is completely different. So I get that. I don't think it's a problem, but I guess to me it seems like the thing that people had a problem with was, well, if you wanted that experience, then why didn't you just go to an HBCU? She's from Chicago, from what I understand. And I don't know the answer. You go to school where you want to go to school, or where they have your program, or whatever the case may be. So I mean, I could understand academically because that's not been I didn't have the experience of being at a PWI, but I can understand, hey, if I'm at a school that's only 6% Black, and there's a lot of things that I may not get to experience at that school, or a lot of things that I may want to do that if I want to do them, I have to create it. And that's kind of the boat that she was in. She want, that's from what I've read about her. This is something she's done all her life in terms of participating in dance groups and, majorette uh, teams. From what I read about her, she's done that all her life. So when she went to USC, well, they don't have that here, so I have to be the one to create it. So I don't really see the problem there. For me personally, it's not a problem. But I mean, I know some people feel some type of way. Um, I've read where people who have been part of majorette squads really feel slighted by that because it is a thing that's generally
Well, I want you
uniquely
to hold that.
HBCU.
I want you to hold that because we're gonna talk about that, and I don't want to get too far ahead. I do want to say this because you're bringing up some good points, and I don't want you to jump ahead. So I wrote down a couple of points so I can organize my mind. I thought about this, and this is what my first visceral reaction was: why not bring in the African American slash diaspora culture and experience to the PWI? That's number one. Number two, um, Black people, brown peoples like me, like you, when attending these schools, they do need to have a safe space. They want that familiarity. I think it offers up the opportunity to add in increased diversity. In when I say that, I'm talking about in terms of expressing um, or displaying artistic expression. There's
Mm-hmm.
more than one way to complement a band. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure why this was as newsworthy in the beginning, but it's now starting to sink in. Okay, so I was having a ding dong moment because it wasn't all that interesting to me at first, but I was like, all
Mm-hmm.
right. But the one thing I wrote down here was not everyone is capable of getting that HBCU experience. Now, when I say this, sometimes it's not just proximity, sometimes it's financial. Maybe another school offered more money, maybe
Mm-hmm.
the fact that they have a larger endowment. Now, you and I, we had this conversation with these Shabazz a while ago when we talked about who was the real HU. Was it Harvard? Was it Hampton? Was it Howard? Right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
we talk about endowment, we talk about more access. We weren't talking about quality of education. We were talking about access to other opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
It could be money, it could be whatever. So, and there's just some people who just can't get there.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I think about the position she was in, I was like, I get it. Now, I will say something. I'm going to provide a little anecdote. I lived in an area that was predominantly white. I mean, we had multicultures there. We had a huge white population. We had a huge band. I'm talking about that was a national competition kind of band. It was like on that
Mm-hmm.
kind of level. Our music department was ridiculous. Um, the band, I was only in it for 1 year, but the band was as good as like a college band as far
Mm-hmm.
as but like a PWI precision,
Mm-hmm.
pictures snap into focus, turned into something like amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was interesting. I remember I remember my senior year, the students looked like me decided that they wanted to inject a little something, right? And we
Mm-hmm.
started playing all of the current, I forgot what it was. I mean, I'm telling my age
Like,
back in the
yeah,
90s.
contemporary music.
Yes. And we had the halftime shows were ridiculous. Like we had people because we were like in the stands before we did our halftime show,
Yep.
and we would be in the
Yep.
stands, and we had everybody like rocking because they were like, "What? What is happening right now?" So to see this school that was predominantly white or had a large white population, um, that and the black kids, because this is what happens. We had black drum majors and stuff like that, black and white.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
they were like, "We're gonna play." I think there was some Snoop Dogg we played. I forgot whoever was popular at the time. We were just throwing those things, and I remember how it injected energy and
Into the
life
audience.
into like
Yeah.
not just us, but the opposing side. Like we went
Mm-hmm.
all the way in. So it was like we did our halftime performance, which was very precision. It was very good, almost like collegiate, like very
Mm-hmm.
competition like. But then when we were in the stands, full on clownery. When I say clownery, not that I'm comparing
Y'all having a good time,
have
basically.
a good time.
Yeah.
And so when I see this woman, Princess Isis Lang, wanting to have that kind of reaction, invoke that kind of reaction,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of get it. I was like, I get it, and I know what it's like to be at a PWI. And I
Mm-hmm.
know what it's like when you don't have a huge D9 presence. And well, the larger school down the way has most of the presence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask me how I know. So I was just like, I get it. I get it. But at first I was like, why is this newsworthy? But I'm like, I get it. So we'll move on to the next question. And before I ask it, I'm going to show a few videos. Now,
Okay.
we're going to wait, what am I
It's
doing?
gonna be good.
No, no, no. I just picked a couple. I didn't pick anything crazy. I look. What? What? See, why are you judging me already?
I didn't say a word. I just said it's gonna be good.
No. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start with Grambling.
That's Grambling. Yeah.
Okay, wait, where am I? Where am I? Let me go ahead and get out of this so I can see what I'm doing. All right, can you see that well?
Yeah.
Or should I take us out of the picture and bring it up big?
I mean, I can see it just fine. So,
Okay. Let me get myself together. Is this the one that I'm looking at? Okay.
this is the Bayou Classic too. This is the
Yeah.
big.
Now, I just want to show how these beautiful divas step on. Why can't I hear this? See, why is this so janky? My situation is always situational. Why can't I? Let's see if I refresh this.
On s'est
Ah,
d'accord, tu
whoa,
me
There
rappelles.
you go. Of
ah,
course, they're gonna
Je
throw the
sais que
ad
tu
in there
m'aimes.
on you.
geez.
Gotta throw the ad in there.
Okay, let's go ahead and mute that for a second while this is getting itself together. I'm like, you know what? YouTube is doing too freaking much sometimes. They get on my nerves with all these stupid ads. So I'm sorry to people in podcast land. I got to let this run through. Go back to, hold on. I'm going to bring it to when the divas, they just like, hey, I just got to show how these women step out on here. Come on. Lord. All right. It should be right about here. Of course I can't. Now you see, okay, now you see it. I don't know why we can't hear it. All right. This wasn't even the best one. I wanted to show the best way they stepped out onto the field. I think I got way too ahead of myself. Here we go. Let me see. See, I had this all prepared, and then when I tried to play it, see YouTube.
Ads messed you up.
Yeah, I was like, what? And I had it all queued up. It was so perfect. Oh man, let me see. I don't want to see this part. I wanted to show how they were like giving it. Let me see. All right, we're just gonna have to just deal with this now. For those of you in podcast land, I'm showing a clip of the Grambling State. Um, I'm not sure what the name of the team is, but they're at the Bayou Classic. I just like how I should have shown another one the way they walked out. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and let this one go because this isn't like cooperating. Now, I'm gonna show another video. Hopefully, this one won't be janky, right? Like, what is going on? Okay. Can you see that?
Yeah.
I
Was this
don't know.
Hampton?
I don't.
Oh,
I
Jackson State.
Yeah, because I was gonna bring up FAMU, but I just picked whatever. All right. Oh my goodness, forgive me. Now I could have found something even more amazing, right? Like I just picked a couple because I didn't want to get too, I don't know how YouTube is going to
Mm-hmm.
be playing. All right, so that they're doing a little something. They look good. I mean, like I wanted to show on where you know how when
And they from.
majorettes they come out into the stadium, they are serving. But you know what? Let
Mm-hmm.
me go back to this for a second. Let's. I'm going to make this big. This is probably not the best example, but you notice with these majorettes on like the theme with so many of these, the women all look the same. I wish I hadn't gotten out of that Grambling one. Hair, outfits, everything. Serving. I should just look up one where the women are serving. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to stop that. Now, I'm going to show a couple of clips of the USC um, ladies.
Okay.
Okay, give me a second before I ask my question. Let's start off with this. Okay, now I'm going to show a little bit. They were on ABC. Now, these
Mm-hmm.
USC ladies. Here's a little bit of their, just, something. Why is I don't know what's going on with the sound. Now, I want you to keep an eye on this one right here because at one point I'm like, I think she just forgot what was going on.
The one in the middle.
No, this one in the back, I think this one just kind of. So they actually don't look bad.
Right.
Let me see. This might be when she messes up. Wait, it wasn't too bad, or maybe I just thought I saw something. They don't look
She
bad.
might have got a little out of sync. It's fine.
Well, I guess it wasn't too bad. Now, okay. Now we saw that one.
Mm-hmm.
Now let me go ahead and I'm going to stop showing that. This is the last one. Okay. I had a few queued up. I didn't want anything too crazy because this is a nice family channel.
Yeah, so
Oh, here we go. I don't know why we can't hear this, so that's okay.
oh, this was their performance at the game.
Yeah, but it doesn't show too much. Beautiful. The girl over to the right, they're showing them a little something, something. Beautiful ladies.
Okay.
Okay, now they're showing. Oh, they didn't show the whole thing. They're just showing how they queued up. So I didn't show too much. Okay, I'll
Okay.
get out of all of this. Now, this is what I want to say. Let's put this up. Should HBCUs gatekeep majorette dancing? Now, I say that because I didn't show like the really, really good clips, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
but one thing about when you see HBCUs, when they step out, it's a show. I mean, hair, everything is uniform. The hair looks good, the dancing, the outfits, everything. And then I saw the USC Majorettes. I think they're beautiful ladies, but different hairstyles. And I think when I asked that question,
Mm-hmm.
should we be gatekeeping? I wrote down 2 points. One, well, I'm not gonna get to those points yet. My concern is if you're going to do it, do you keep in the tradition of in which it was done? Do HBCUs own majorette dancing? Do
I
you see where
got
I'm
you.
going, right?
Yes, there you go.
Because it's like
So
I
I
see
mean,
that.
it could be, so to me it could be two schools of thought, for lack of a better term. So you could say, all right, well, this is something that's uniquely ours and should stay uniquely ours. You could go with that school of thought. Or you could go with, we want the world to see what we do. We want this to, become a bigger thing than just within the HBCU community. So, we talked about this in a different discussion, but you don't see HBCUs on ABC every week. You don't, or, all the big major networks with the major TV productions. So, the other way to get that, say, hey, this style of show band, this style of majorette dancing, this originated at HBCUs, and you know that's another school of thought to say, hey, yeah, we want our culture to be more than just within our culture. We want people to see, hey, this is what we do. This is, people love it. Obviously it gets the crowd excited. People kind of get into it, and so you could go either way. We want to keep it for ourselves and hold it close to the chest, or we want the world to see. You can go either way.
Well, this is the thing. I'm torn in terms of, so I wrote down 2 points, but I realized I had it's kind of sort of third. I wrote down one. I actually had 3 points. One, the concern is others may appropriate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Misappropriate. Two, why is it that we possibly want to gatekeep majorette dancing, but we don't really go out of our way to gatekeep our music, the culture, our language?
Well, I was getting ready to get it. That was my next one. Do you want it to become hip hop, or do you just want to showcase it?
Right, but
You
we don't gatekeep that, and so we saw what happened with our music. We don't know what that is today. And then the third thing is, I said, you know, if the D9 had not expanded outside of HBCUs,
Mm-hmm.
D9 wouldn't be what it is today. So now when I think about this, I was like, you know, the majorettes that are at the USC, I'm going back and forth because I'm like, in the one hand, you want to keep in the vein of what it's like at the HBCUs, right? You want to have hair has to look the same, makeup needs to look a
Yeah,
certain way, right? You want it to look a certain way, and as soon as the PWI majorettes
get a
get a
hold
hold of
of it.
it, is it already being? Is it changing? Is it why? I mean, because
Or
we want it to look the same way, right?
right,
Do it.
is it changing, or are they just at the start of something that,
Could be that.
learning how to do this?
Yeah, I read somewhere, I think that, or I was listening to somebody else had a video on it. They said that, and I don't know who was like, they said there was a lady who's like the gatekeeper of majorette dancing, I think is working with them. I don't know how true it is. I wish I had saved that video link.
Mm-hmm.
I had to do some quick, he's calling it research, but research on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like I said, for me, I'm like, man, in one vein, you want it to reflect similar to the to the HBCU
Mm-hmm.
environment, but I'm like, but they're not at an HBCU. So I'm like,
Right.
how do you receive that? Do you want
So, I was just reading a quote from her, from, what's her name, Princess, and
princess?
she sees it more as an expression of Black culture, not
Mhm,
necessarily HBCU culture.
mhm,
Because as I was reading about it, like I said, she grew up in Chicago. She grew up doing in majorette dance teams. You know how there are majorette dance teams outside of college,
mhm.
and she grew up doing that, and she wanted to express that at USC. So she felt like she wants to be able to, looking at her quote, she actually, I'll just read the last part of it where she says, "And I'm happy to be able to show Black culture on an even bigger scale." So in her mind, she's like, "Look, I'm just displaying Black culture. I'm using this USC platform to uh, show people another side of Black culture." Okay, fine. That's fine with me. I mean, like I said, I wasn't in the band. I didn't do all that stuff. So, I don't feel any type of way about it. I understand what she's saying. I understand what she feels like she's doing and what she's trying to do. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I don't feel like it's stealing anything. I just,
I can kind of get with that. I mean, it was interesting. This is a sidebar. When I was in the band, I was like one of those like geeks with like the saxophone, like I was one.
it's funny because my friend of mine plays saxophone in the band at Morgan.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm saying it's one of the sexiest instruments ever. But yeah, I was just kind of like, when I found that one guy, oh gosh, I mean, I need to find that guy. He brought up something about like how Beyonce, did the whole major thing in her what was
One of
that
her videos.
Coachella one, that the one that she did that huge like thing where she was like at like the like she was paying homage to like the Bayou and like HBCUs and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I was like, nobody really gave her any backlash for appropriating D9 culture, right?
Hmm.
Or the majorettes and the bands and stuff. But then this woman creates a real group,
Hmm.
right? And it was like a major feat for her to do this
Yeah.
and to be able to perform with the band at halftime. That is a big deal. And now we've got the world in backlash, but Beyonce can go do it and make money off of it. And there's just
Mhm.
no backlash for her doing it. She appropriated D9 culture, band culture, but she did it all. And it was okay. Now, the guy that made the comment, I don't remember him going in on that. But my first thought was, wait a minute, if Beyonce can do it, why can't this
Yeah.
woman start a real team? And she's trying to like,
So I think people look at it differently when they see art, because Beyonce is not the first person. I know for a fact Gramblin's been in different music videos and things like that. P.D. Pablo did the same thing. Um, what's the guy down of Trick Daddy? Same thing. Um, so it's been done before in the music industry. So I think that's probably why nobody thought twice about it when Beyonce did it. They feel like it's more, I guess, more showcasing, right? As opposed to you doing it at a university, at a PWI, where people feel like, oh, you're stealing, you know,
it's
HBCU
still
culture and trying.
stealing.
But to
Or
me,
right.
I agree. I don't think it's stealing at
Well, I don't think
all.
it's stealing, but you understand what I'm saying? I mean, like
Yeah.
whether she's putting it in a video and making money off of it, or whether one woman is putting it on a university, and it's
Right.
a way of actively learning about the culture and the
I
artistic
mean,
art form. To me,
to me, and what I, the way I see it is like, she's introducing something to those people they may not even know about.
mm-hmm.
And eventually, I think one day we'll see a PWI trying to doing show band type of stuff
There's some
at
drum makers
some
out
point or
there.
another. So I don't know when.
They're gonna have a look. They're gonna have a new drum major out there.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
oh
So
man, he's high stepping. He's got a
uh,
baton.
all it takes is for them to get the right band director that was born of a HBCU.
Let me
But
tell you something. You know that going well. USC is not gonna let.
maybe not USC, maybe Georgia Tech. but but
But yeah, I think that'd be a lot. Now, don't get me wrong. Like you already know how I feel. There was only one school that I applied to. That was North Carolina A&T.
right.
They were tacky. I withdrew my situation. I wound up going to the PWI. So like I said, I think the biggest thing is, I feel like I really don't know if I have the right answer. I lean towards no, they shouldn't gatekeep, but you also want people to kind of
No,
like
see, so
be
so
homage
it's
to it
it's,
and
it's a
keep it in vain, maybe.
it's
I don't
that
know.
yeah, I guess it's that catch-22, I guess, because it's like, hey, one of the big things with HBCUs is making sure people are saying, hey, we're, as far as the school, we're just as good as any other school, we're the same as any other school. But then in the same breath, you can't say we're the same and then say, well, but you can't use this stuff that we do anywhere else. We can only use this. So it's kind of,
Yeah,
it's either all or nothing. You know what I mean? Um,
it's a tough
I,
one. I mean, but I feel like I don't know.
I mean, because honestly, in my eyes, no matter what the PWIs do it, you're not going to do it the same as HBCUs.
I'll
You're
give
not going to be the same as Grambling. You're not going to be the same as Southern or the Marching Hundred or Tuskegee or any of these schools, A&T, any of them. No matter what you do, it's not going to look like that.
right.
So the truth is, it's
So when
not.
you see, like, when I see how the drum lines are throwing down or whatever's going to fight, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like,
Right.
yes. And I didn't go to an HBCU, but obviously, I appreciate what they bring to that. I mean, like, it just is what it is. I mean, it's amazing. So, but this is the next question I have. Why are the HBCUs seeking validation? Now, I know this is a little inflammatory. It's a little incendiary. But I had to throw it out there. So let me just say this. I felt like this. Princess Isis Lang had to have a strong constitution about herself. This is why I said I was going
Mm-hmm.
to bring it all back to her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she didn't worry. I don't think she anticipated this kind of reaction. There's just been a strong reaction, both for and against.
Mm-hmm.
But she has to have, this is an incredible young woman who was strong in her conviction of whether or not she wanted to bring that art form, this artistic
Mm-hmm.
expression, to a PWI, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she she pressed on, and she admitted in a video that I watched of her fear. Her mother said, you better start it or whatever, but she didn't have to seek anyone's validation outside of
Right.
mom. Of course, you always go to mom or whatever,
Yeah,
right? She did it because that's what she was
that's what she
convicted
wanted to
to
do.
do.
Right.
She didn't seek white validation. She just wanted an opportunity, and she definitely didn't ask permission from the blacks, right?
Right.
So I was really proud of this woman
Mm-hmm.
for saying, this is what I'm going to do. Second point, one may argue that the HBCUs should um, seek validation. I don't know. I don't think so. I'm just throwing it out there just to
Yeah.
be
No.
honest. And then the third thing is, I said, why shouldn't HBCUs like just leverage this attention that USC has? Why
Right.
not take that opportunity to
I think that's what I was trying to say. I couldn't find the words, but that's what I was trying to say earlier. It's
use that?
kind of, hey,
Yeah, use
they have the platform. you flip it, use it to bring attention back
Yeah.
to, HBC house. I'll say even, hey, even reach out to the girl. We'll help you.
Right. And it's like,
We'll help you build this thing. So
and what
and make
happens?
sure you do it right.
Well, I was gonna say what happens is by them working with her to say, okay, well, we want to make sure, like, not to say mold you, but kind of say, okay, this is how we're gonna do this. So we're gonna like be your support, right? So let's give you a little bit of history of it. And she probably understands the history. I think she
I
even
was
mentioned,
gonna say she when
you
I
know,
was reading about her, she had growing up, she
yeah.
had a mentor who was born of of the HBCU majorette culture, from what I read, and she's been involved in this her whole life. So
She gets it. So I felt like with me putting this little shady question up there, why are you seeking validation? Obviously it goes deeper than that because
it's yeah, it's way deeper than that. But
yeah, I went on a rant with another buddy of mine today, before I had to go into a meeting, and I basically said, this is kind of a tangent for a second, and
mhm.
I said, I am so sick of black people. I was
Uh-oh.
in my feelings. I was like, I can't think of one location anywhere where we are not like just completely subjugated and conquered people. I'm like, the continent gets on my nerves because they don't even own their land. They don't own any resources. They sold off all the blackity blackbacks. They're just being punked by China right now and in Europe. I'm just kind of like, they are just doing too much. You got the black British people who think that they're better than Americans. And I'm like, dude,
you
you got the ones who were in the Caribbean. I'm like, you just got off the boat like 1 minute earlier. Like, are you serious right now? I was just like, I'm so sick of people. I'm like,
yeah.
it's like we can't even just sell our products without being tacky. It was just like I went on this rant.
Hmm.
And I think about this question, why are they seeking validation? I'm like, at what point are we self-validating? At what
Hmm.
point do we have a strong constitution about ourselves? At what point do we say, hey, look, they're not going to validate us. They're not, people aren't going to give us reparations. They're not going to see our schools as the same, even though I didn't attend an
Right.
HBCU. They're not going to. So I'm like, at what point do we say we value ourselves? At what point do we say, and look, I very well may have a
So
blind spot.
so it's interesting. I don't I don't think it's that we don't value ourselves, but it's that we recognize that everybody else undervalues us. So I like trying to think of an example. I can't think of a really good example, but well, one thing we know is that most HBCUs that I know of are public state universities, but they're terribly underfunded, right? Which to me indicates you undervalue that school. As compared to their PWI counterparts within the state. Like in fact, in the state of Maryland, they just lost a lawsuit because of that. Um, so I think we know our value. I mean, in fact, if you go to HBCU, they drill that in your head. We know our value, but the world, the bigger world, the what does D. Shabazz always call them? The dominant society still
He stays
undervalues you. And actually, I just thought of a good example. A friend of mine he also went to Morgan, and in his professional career, he also went into IT as well. He got an engineering degree, so went in that field. Ultimately, got into management with one of the big government contractors. He learned when he got into management, when he could see the offers that were being made to
yeah,
new college hires, that they would always offer the HBCU students less than the PWI students for the exact same position. Even though the kids from HBCU, they're ready to, they've been put through their paces. They know what they're doing. They know their stuff, but they're seen as less than because they come from the HBCU. Now, you suspect it, but I never had anybody actually validate that until that was a few years ago. But again, we know and within ourselves our value, but out in the world, out in the dominant society, as D. Shabazz would say, we're still undervalued. So
but and it's like, I can see in terms of fighting for maybe if you're talking about equal pay and that type of thing, but I'm just thinking in general, it goes beyond majorettes,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
you know what I mean? And I was just kind of like, what is it about? I said, are black people just cursed people? I'm like, it's like amazing. So I was telling my buddy, and he was getting mad, but the more mad, I mean, he was like fake mad, but the more mad he got, the more
The more you went in on them,
I
yeah,
told
you tend to do that.
I told him I've decided I'm white now. He was like, "No, you can't." I'm like, "Yes, I am. I am. I'm getting privileged."
That
I'm
is
like,
so
"Look,
funny.
everybody else can change what they want to be." Look, people have decided that they were black. Rachel Dolezal. You got people who are black fishing. You got men claiming that they're women. Women claiming that they're men. You got people claiming that they're no sex. And I'm
Right.
like, I'm white
I'll
now.
just claim something else. Yeah.
I'm white now. I'm tired. I'm tired. I was like, I'm so tired. And the more mad he got, the more I was like, I'm white now. You can't tell me because I identify as white.
You know what?
And I went all the way in because I was like, it is exhausting. It's exhausting. Like when you think about like oftentimes like people will commit a microaggression. And
Hmm.
it just depends on how you're feeling. Like, do you really want to correct it? Because I
You want to
don't,
deal with it, yeah.
yeah, I don't always want to carry the torch for all the blacks, right? Like, I just want to just
Well,
be
and
insecure about something regular, like, oh my goodness, like, why can't I lose 20 pounds? Like, I don't know. I just want to have regular, like,
something, yeah. Well, I mean, it is exhausting, but the problem is it exists. You know, it is a thing still to this day,
it is.
and it's like like you said, you get tired of having to. I gotta prove myself. I got to, it's the thing that we're taught growing up. Hey, you got to be twice as good as your counterpart from the dominant society. You got to be you have to do more. And I say, well, I can't just do my job. That's not enough.
It's so funny you
No, it's
say
not
that.
enough.
It's so funny you say that. I just recently had a discussion and somebody said something. I'm like, I have the same certification as someone else. I'm not going to name names.
Mm,
They got quiet. I just didn't talk about it. And you want to know what else was funny? There's some things that needed to be done that
mhm,
I had done months ago because nobody was listening. I was like, you need to do X, Y, Z. And it was
mhm,
so interesting how like I had some of the stuff done. Harry started some stuff. I come back to work, because I was in Iceland. I came back today and there was some talk about something else. And I was just sitting there thinking, like, the thing that they said that, okay, well, you should start working on blah, blah, blah. I saw what was written up or approved.
mhm.
We started like a week or two ago. Some of this, like I just, I was just
Yeah.
kind of like,
No, yeah, I mean, I've
it's
and
exhausting.
it's interesting because I've literally been in situations where people don't even realize that they're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I remember very specific situations in different times in my career where I had to stop the person and tell them, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. I understand, you know, and they didn't mean it. I honestly believe they didn't mean anything by it, but it was just something that for whatever, it's ingrained that I must not understand. I
Right.
must not get it. Or I must not know. Well, why wouldn't I know? Why wouldn't I get it? You know, and it's just a thing, and I don't know if it's ever not going to be a thing, at least in my lifetime.
I don't know. I don't know. But I think what was driving me crazy going back to this was this seeking the validation thing. And I was just frustrated because obviously there are people who are like, it's I'm gonna paraphrase. I got the impression it felt like those who were attending HBCUs were just kind of like, can we just have this? Can this just be ours, right? And I kind of get it. I do.
Right.
And but then I was like, you don't have to prove it.
But you know what?
But
So,
they do, but they don't. I don't know.
but so it's pretty much it's like anything else that started off uniquely black culture or whatever. Once it got out that hey, this is a good thing, this is a nice thing, everybody latched on, always latches onto it every single time, whether you're talking about fashion, or you talking about music, like you said, how we talk, whatever the case may be, it always happens every single time. So, like you said earlier, I think it's just okay, flip the script. Use that platform to your advantage. Use their platform to bring attention to yourself. To say,
Yeah.
hey, this is not only do we have this, let me show you what else we do over here where you may want to come over here versus going over there. So, it's just a how you look at it to me.
Yeah, I feel like it could have been a mentoring thing or a partnership, or not to say that they need to treat her as if she's lesser than or anything like that,
No,
because
no,
she clearly
no.
understands majorettes, but the team is also a new team, right?
Right.
So now you got to like have funding and club dues, and there's like so much that goes into it.
Well, there's
Tryouts.
a lot that goes into it. That's art that she may have to learn and figure out that, hey, we already know it. We already know. Let me show you these things and speed your process along
Yeah.
so you can continue to present this to the world so it could go on after you graduate.
Hmm.
So
Well,
it's just how you look at it.
I just felt like I was so exhausted, and I felt like I've got some nerve, the audacity of me to be like, I'm exhausted. I was like, you're doing too much. But the fact of the matter was, I don't know if it was just because today was Tuesday, and for whatever reason, I was just like, I was just over it. I was just like, these freaking majorettes, the HBCUs are mad. I'm like, I'm tired of black people today. And I was just setting it off, and I was like, I'm now white. I'm white today. Like I can
Mhm.
claim whatever I want to be. I
But
can go
it's
by the
like
one drop rule too.
it's just like this when I read about it, I seemed like she was like a 50-50 reaction in terms of some
I
people in
think so.
support and some people not so happy about it. So, I don't think it's a bad thing. I
I
really
don't
don't.
either. I think I'm proud of her, but like I said, I'm coming from a different perspective, being that I don't have that HBCU experience.
Right.
And let me just say this, by the way, I think we're taking for granted that people know what that is. For those of you who are going to watch this after, like on the replay, HBCU is a historically black college and universities. PWI is predominantly white institution. I should have I should have put that up there at the
Just
beginning.
assume everybody knew that. Yeah.
Yeah, I just made the assumption, but so I wanted to make sure I distinguished that. Um, but that was pretty much it. I think it was just my frustration was like, you know, I just
Mm,
wanted something easy. I just like, you know what, like, why does it have to
mm.
be PWI
Well,
versus HBCU? But I kind of get where.
and the funny thing was when I saw the headline, I wasn't sure what to expect in the story, right? Because the headline I saw wasn't just that it was a majorette team, that it was an all black majorette team. What that was the headline that I saw, and I was like, what's going to be in this article? Is it going to be something about uh, then they're excluding the white people on campus, or is it going to be? I didn't know what to expect when I read the first article about it,
Mhm.
and but I'm thinking, oh shoot, like you said, that school's 5.8% black total, so
You got it
that's
down to the 5.8. You such a nerd.
that's not an easy. I can only imagine. I've never, like I said, I went to HBCU, so I've never been in that environment school wise, and I'm born and raised in Baltimore City, so I've never been in a predominantly white school. But I can imagine that's not an easy position to be in, or trying to do something like that at a place where they may not even understand. Like what is this? You know, I mean, you got to convince somebody to support you, to back you, to all of that stuff, and you don't have, like I said, a lot of you or a lot of people that look like you that really understand what you're trying to do. So
Which is
it's not an
great.
easy thing.
And so the fact that she was able to do that is incredible.
Mhm,
USC is a big university, so if
mhm,
you're like approximately 6% of the
mhm.
population, and
And
keep
she's just a sophomore, so she's young. What was it, 19, 20 years old, probably.
and you got to remember, USC is a wealthy school. A lot of
Mhm,
wealthy kids go there. A lot of like
mhm,
celebrities kids go there. So
mhm.
many of these black kids who are attending now, this is not based on data. Okay, so I don't want anybody coming at me like sideways. This is not factual. This is based off of me feeling some kind of way. I suspect that many of these Black kids who are attending all this, the celebrities and the wealthy kids, they may not have a strong connection to any kind of Black culture. Maybe they pop culture, but really, because like they are
You grew
probably
up privileged.
right.
Period.
So they may not even, it may not mean much to them, the
Right.
majorettes or anything
Right.
like that.
Right.
So I take that with like,
The only event, the only I would say the only thing I would say that may work a little more in favor is it is California. California is probably one of the more liberal states in the union, if not the most liberal state in the union. So,
you bring
you
up a good
know,
point.
huh?
You bring up a good point.
So yeah, you do have that. You do have that going for you when you're trying to do something like this out there. So,
I mean, when I think about when I was in college, I went to school. It was very expensive with a
hmm
bunch of, in my opinion, rich kids. Um, yeah, like I said, it was the North. I was in the
yeah.
North, and these kids,
Well, I was say doing this at USC and doing this at UConn
right,
might be completely different.
and that's where I'm going. So
Yeah.
I had that kind of lens, no, I did not go to UConn. For those of you who are wondering, it was one of those things where I think about that environment. Now, I met some wonderful people there, but you got to remember, a lot of them are very waspy, very New England-ish. It was a
hmm
completely different world. Some of these kids are very privileged, but
hmm
it's like they want to save the world and hug some trees, right? But you know what it is? It gave me, it reminds me of, I'm not saying this, but I got the same feeling like as an adult now, like when like the Mormons or some rich people, whatever, they go on these missionary
Oh, the missionary
trips
trips. Yeah.
to feel good about themselves, but they think they're helping and they don't even realize half of this stuff is not what they think it is, right? But they go on a couple of weeks to help out the poor people, and they know nothing about these people, but they spend a few weeks there and they've done such good for the humanity. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, give me a break, right? You know what I mean? They don't really realize like half of what's going on in these
In those
missionary
communities.
trips are
Yeah.
not what they think it is. But
Right.
it's there to make them feel good about themselves, to help out the really poor people. And they don't even realize, like, a lot of the times, even when stuff is brought into these areas or whatever, like, these people aren't seeing that. The government is taking it. Like, there's so
In
much
those places. Yeah.
right. And so I was just kind of like, where I went to school, and granted, I was just as ignorant about a lot of things too, but like it was like you're with a bunch of waspy people. Can
hmm
I say waspy? That might not be the right
The
term.
right time, for lack of a better
Strike that.
term. How about that?
Strike that from the record. But
Yeah.
basically, it was a bunch of people from the Northeast. I mean, the cold Northeast, right? Who lived a different lifestyle. It's like going to school there, like it really is like ivy on the walls. It's very New Englandish. It's cold. It's the way they
Basically,
talk.
they'd be culture shocked if you dropped them off in Bed-Stuy or Baltimore
Yes, actually, so would
or
I. Well, back in the
Miami
day,
or
I'd be like,
or South Central LA. They'd be completely shell shocked if you. They know those places exist, but they can't fathom what they would see coming
right.
into.
Like, so I remember when I would be in college and I was I would be in math or something. I don't know, whatever. And there would be kids from New York City in the class. And there's one guy, I remember his name. He was like such a rough dude. Like he looked like a straight up thug, and he kind of
Mhm.
still was. But he was just a smart thugged out, like how he made it there. Like, somebody rescued that guy and said, go to school, right? Like, how some people are super smart, but they're just dumb.
Mhm.
I don't know if that makes any sense. So anyway,
No, no guidance, but they got
no,
all the tools, but nobody to help guide them.
yes, but
Yeah.
smart guy. There's
Mhm.
a couple of smart guys like that. Well, not just two, but you know what I mean.
There's a
But
ton of them out there. Yeah.
I would see them in class. Like I was never a threat, right? But they would talk to the TA or to the professor, and they didn't even realize you shouldn't have to apologize for it, but they'd be rough, like, no, man, I'm like, it was like all kinds of extra, right? And
Something that we wouldn't think, yeah, that's just how he talks. We wouldn't think twice about it.
they are like coming at him like super hard. Now, granny, I was like Junior Woodchuckish, like they thought I had anorexia back in the day. So I was kind of scared too. I'm like, why is he talking like that? So, but they were so hard. And to watch how the TAs and the professors, when they were talking, they would always lean back, like
Hmm.
almost like they were scared of these guys. And
Yeah,
all they were trying to do is figure out, like, no, man, I'm in like differential equations.
right.
Like,
But they talk. I mean, they talk like they're on the block, right?
I was
But they
like,
talking,
oh.
yeah,
They were so aggressive even to me, right? Like, and I was just like,
yeah.
okay, this is a lot. They were just a lot. But the point
It
I'm
is,
saying is,
but it's something. Yeah, it's something I like.
when
I
you're
would
in those environments, and I wasn't even like hardcore, right?
in
But you're
in those spaces they don't understand. Like that's just the way he talks. It's not.
right,
He's not
and
actually being aggressive. That's just the way the guy talk. That's just the way they talk. Where he's
it
from.
was just the aggressive, the way he walked, the way he talked, the way just everything.
Hmm.
Like I was just like, dude, like I need you to tone down some of this hyper masculinity. Now we didn't call it that at the time, but it was really interesting when you're in those environments and it's like no one really looks like you. No one
Hmm.
understands you. Now we had a decent student union and stuff like that. When they
Yeah.
threw parties, it was like regular parties, things are popping and locking.
Right.
But to watch that and you're surrounded by people who
Oh
also are
hell no.
sheltered in a different way, who don't look
Right.
like like,
Well,
hi.
yeah, it's a different type of shelter, and it's like, hey, where this guy's from, you have to carry yourself in a certain way, and hey, where you guys are from, you carry yourself in a completely different way, and you really don't understand each other, or one doesn't,
The people who were from where I went to school, I still think like USC would be like a culture shock because these people are like not everybody, but like refined people, like
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's just like I'm thinking like tea time or something. Like they were just on some other
Right.
kind of stuff. And so
See,
I'm not saying everyone was like that, but you're dealing with some, like your professors. Like there was that running joke where they really talk like this. They're like, we gotta pack my car in the Harvard backyard like that. I was like, oh,
they had that
that
Boston, New
Bostonian. Oh
England type,
my
yeah,
gosh, it was horrible. But
yeah, it's. I've always found people like that interesting. I have fun with it. Like I'm pretty adaptable to any environment you put me in,
mhm.
but I just find that interesting, and I'll ask a million questions and talk. Like, what do you mean you never had a chicken box? I got to take you home, get you a chicken box and a half and half. Like, what do you mean?
Oh my
And
gosh.
stuff like
Like,
that. What do you mean you've never been in a fight? You've literally never been in a fight in your life? Like,
mean, it was like, let me put you like this. I remember one time I was studying with somebody. Now, granted, I think he was trying to woo me for show, you know,
mm-hmm,
but like my study moments were like I will walk in to come study, and somebody is literally playing the piano for me and cooking for me. I was like,
like,
like
yeah,
this
you looking like this? What you do?
like I have the chicken cooking, it's simmering on the stove. It was like,
Right, right, right. Yeah,
whoa.
just a different environment.
Environment. Like the idea, it was just different. And so what I'm saying is now I'm going to reel it back into our subject matter was when you are in an environment like a USC and you said she comes from Chicago,
Hmm.
which is a very metropolitan area,
Hmm.
and then to now be in this super uber liberal, like white and probably Asian environment.
Hmm.
And she's probably like, I don't see any parts of something that resembles me. Many of the people who live out west, I was thinking about a friend of mine, she's from Portland, Oregon. Oregon. I say Oregon, she says Oregon.
Hmm.
And she was talking about how like her experiences growing up as a black woman out there, and she wound up coming out here to Howard
Oh, that's
University.
culture shock from Portland.
But she loved it. She was like, when I came east, that's when I learned I was beautiful. And I was like, I didn't even know what to
Okay.
say. Like, how do you answer
Yeah.
that?
How do you? Yeah. How? What do you mean?
What does that mean? Like, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, and I'm like staring at her like a ding dong, like, like what
Yeah.
do you say to that? She's like, I didn't even know I was beautiful until I came back east, you know. And so when I think about what's going on out there, when I think about like California, as
Hmm.
liberal as they think they are, they're almost exclusionary with their liberalness. It's hard to explain. Like, I don't even get started with that. So anyway,
Different topic.
the majorettes of USC, I am happy for them. I'm proud. It took me a minute to process what I thought, because I was at first I was like, I don't care. And
Hmm.
I mean, I was dismissive because I just did not feel like having another blackety black moment. I wanted to make fun of the United States. You know what I told you earlier. For those of you who don't know,
Hmm.
I just came back from Iceland, and I think I've already put a video out there today on this. Long story short, I was more on the lines of, I'm sitting in Iceland and I'm listening to the news. You and I had this conversation earlier, and
Hmm.
I'm like, did we have this conversation earlier?
About, yeah, I know. I think I know where you're going. We talked about it
Yeah.
earlier.
Well, basically, what I was saying was, I'm sitting in Iceland and listening to CNN, and at the time they were showing, they recapped what's happening in Indonesia, with the soccer team,
Hmm.
and the shenanigans with that, and the tear gassing of all those people. So now you get a whole bunch of people who are injured and deceased, to include children. You've got Brazil acting out, and they're whacked out elections. So they're like, we don't have a majority. We don't know what it is. They can't figure out. Brazil is already whacked out. You got Iran with the woman who passed. I forgot why she passed, but you got the
Oh, the one in police custody. Yeah.
yeah, they got the sports teams protesting stuff. The women are acting out, and they're all whacked out now. Everybody's shaving their head and cutting off their hair. They're like, I can't take it anymore. So they're having the Britney Spears moment. You got the state, the state, or Iran, the state, they basically are censoring or cutting off access, like they're shutting down the internet. And then you got Russia and their shenanigans. That they're like, we have now annexed 4 portions of Ukraine. And Ukraine's like, no, we didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Like, you all the way didn't. And they're like, yes, we did. And they're like, no, we didn't. Now they're going up on top of buildings, throwing over flags. So I don't even know who's telling the truth. I think everybody's lying. And I'm like, after all of that, the United States puts on CNN, on CNN, they're like, now back to the devastation of Hurricane Ian, and they show rich people boats. I'm like, how tone deaf is that? So here, this is where my mind is. I just did not want to have another blackety black moment. I'm like, oh my gosh, another PWI HBCU thing. But anyway, all right, that was that. This is actually not as bad. We're only on an hour instead of two.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so thanks for coming on. Look, for those of you out there, let me just say for the records, you should subscribe. I can't even get the words out. I haven't even had any wine tonight. Subscribe. Stop playing, because you know you like me. So stop watching me and then trying to like figure out if you want to subscribe or not. Cut the shenanigans. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button, because I'm amazing in every way and I can do no wrong. Number two, I'm wearing my comfort robe. Yes, when you see me wearing this, I do have on clothes. I have on a full-on outfit. I got on pants and a tank and everything. This is my comfort robe. It's the ugliest robe in the house or whatever it is. My husband's not a fan of it, but it makes me feel good. I don't know what. It's my security blanket. Okay. This is why you need to subscribe. Number two, you need to share it. You need to see every single one of my videos. Just sit there and binge watch them, see all of them all the way through. You need to say something in the comments, because comments are actually important and it shows that you're engaging. And then you need to go ahead and show your support by giving me a thumbs up. Why? Because I'm amazing. Support me because I said so. That's it. I went on a whole rant. I must be in my feelings today. I will say this, and I'm gonna let you go. I don't typically like to do a whole bunch of videos on pop news. I, I'm not that interested. I just might be a ding dong. I think much of it is dumb. I could care less what's happening with Dum Dum, Kanye, and Candace and Kim and the lawsuits. I actually tried to keep up with it. I tried to pay attention to like why the Kardashians are being sued. I didn't even know they were being sued. They're being sued. They could go to jail. Don't know what happened, but I'm too bored to tune in. I don't care. I found out today that Kanye and Candace were walking around with White Lives Matters t-shirts on, and you know what? I don't even care. I don't care.
Oh boy,
I
Kanye.
just don't care. He's a clown. She's kind of crazy. Actually, I think
Nope,
she's just
Kanye
crazy.
probably got something about to drop.
Probably.
He
But I
probably
don't
got
even
some
can't
something's about to drop. A new album, some new Yeezy. Something's about to drop.
Yeah,
This is when he rears his head.
I just pop news is so dumb. I don't care what's going on. Meg Thee Stallion, Cardi B, half of these people. I still don't know who the Sweetie chick is. The name pops up. I'm like, who is
Oh,
this rapper?
she actually graduated from USC. I found in this whole majorette thing, I found out the sweetie graduated from USC.
But what did she do?
I
Who
have no
is this
idea.
chick?
I think she's an artist,
She's
but I
got to
have
be
no
some kind
idea.
of an artist. I'm like, I don't even know if I know her music. I'm sure she's an artist or influencer or somebody.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
sure
she's actually an
she is.
artist.
She's popular.
I'm not 100% sure because I'm not up on the latest and greatest. She's a rapper.
If they said for $1 bajillion right now, pick her out of the lineup, I'd be like, I don't know. It'd be
Nope.
the eeny, meeny, miny, moe.
I'd be like, damn, that was my retirement gone.
I know. But like I said, I just feel like I don't report. I don't make videos on that content because it's silly. I feel like we need to be putting out other content, some alternative content. And it doesn't mean I don't ever report on like the pop news or whatever, but much of it is just not that interesting to me. I don't know what it is. It could be the age. I don't know. I'm just like, I don't care. I really don't care. I don't care
Yeah.
about Kanye. He has left the cuckoo's nest a long time ago.
I
So,
always say Kanye is a lot smarter than people think.
yeah. Well,
He,
so
he does he does this stuff on purpose.
I think much of it is deliberate, but I also think two things can be true. I think he can be a genius, but be like completely off his
It's a
rocker. If
fine,
that makes sense.
yes, it's a fine line.
Yeah.
It's a
It's
very fine line.
so. I do want to do another video, maybe tomorrow if I can get it together. I wanted to. I think you and I touched on it. I wanted to touch on the fact of being in Scandinavia and women's equality and how
Oh
interesting.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We talked about that earlier
And the
today.
slapperization that's happening behind closed doors with all these
Hmm.
people. I was like, people are getting their ass whooped. So, but anyway, I might do something on that tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But all right, let me get off of this. Thanks for coming on. You know you're the best.
Yeah, we got to get D Shabazz back on.
Yeah, he went out of town with wifey. So I was like, I sent him a text. I didn't think he was going to get on. So did you know
Get
he
him
was?
next time.
All right. Well, I'll chat you tomorrow at work.
All right.
Bye.
Later.